Hello, welcome back to my channel, Retire Abroad Finance. My name is Martha, and the purpose of this channel is to walk through retirement planning together and to show people that you don't have to be a millionaire or a multimillionaire to be able to retire, whether in the US or, as we're doing, overseas. So today, I wanted to take just a brief moment and review Empower software. This is a free version that I have here online. I will link it below. And it used to be Personal Capital, and it's since been acquired and rebranded. So, just know that we have the free version. We're not using all the features, but this is something that you might use instead of Bolden, or I set it up in addition to. It has a feature or two that Bolden um, doesn't readily offer, but I will talk about the differences between the two. So let's just jump right in. So first of all, what you're going to do is you're going to add your accounts, and you can add them manually, um, but you can also link them so that they will keep up with your transactions as you go. They do offer budgeting features. So, I went ahead and linked it, although I did have some difficulty linking a couple of accounts. Um, One or two of them, it just wouldn't work. The small community bank that I sometimes have problems with, it wouldn't link that one. And then I did notice that I did have several occasions where I would try to link an account and it would give me an error message that it wasn't available. So like that, technical error. So I don't I don't know what's going on with it. This is, a full 48 hours later and it still won't let me in. But anyway, I did get it linked for my Fidelity accounts. And so it also will pull in your credit cards. So you can see I have some balances on credit cards. Those get paid off monthly. I'm busy paying for all my travel arrangements ahead of time for the entire fall. So it's getting expensive. But anyway, let's kind of walk through. So I've got my accounts set up. I've got them linked, as many as I could get set up anyway. And then let's walk through the features that you have here on the software. So first of all, you have your net worth. Now, it is problematic because I did link my checking account initially, and it was linked for a while, and then I tried to go back and uh, force it to upload prior to, say, a week and a half ago or so, and it would not do it. And so what happened was I had had this, running for several months prior while I tested it out. And then the other day when I went in and I updated it and I entered the house sale and all this other stuff, it would not go in and fill in the time from June 9th to July 24th, even though these are linked. So the net worth looks just really hinky here, and I could not figure out how to fix it. I tried to go in and manually add some transactions, and since I'm linked, it wouldn't let me do it. Let me just go into, where is it? All right, the living expenses. Um, so you can update your connection, but really it only goes back so far. It's it's not ideal. So anyway, you just have to kind of take that with a grain of salt. So once you get it set up, hopefully it doesn't disconnect the link, and you can just it's meant to be used, you know, on a regular basis. And I didn't from the time that I left on my cruise, I really didn't, and then I didn't keep it up afterwards when we sold the house, and so it caused this giant. Okay. Uh, so getting past that, first of all, of course, you have your dashboard. That's where we're at. Then you can go to net worth. And again, this is where it looks kind of weird. So that's where I disconnected my checking account because it wasn't going back far enough. And I just thought, forget it. And I closed it. Um, but it'll list all of your accounts out and what type of account they are. You can see that I closed out my HELOC and I had to enter the HELOC and the mortgage both as manual loans because my uh, my credit union wouldn't connect. And then, of course, we sold our house. So there's that. And you can cycle through the different tabs, and they focus on, the different designations in your categories. So, and they'll give you little tips along the way. So that was fairly decent. There's really not a whole lot that I can do with that personally. Someone else who's using it for a budget software, which it does offer, this would probably, be more helpful to be able to see your tracking your credit, how much progress you're making on paying things down, that sort of thing. Transactions, this is where you can get all of your transactions in one place. You can pick the length of time to view your transactions. You can pick the type of transaction. Um, so that's good. Your credit card transactions and your loans, mortgage, all that good stuff. Now, this could be very helpful for someone. The banking area, they do have a chart for cash flow. Mine's messed up because I couldn't get my checking account at the credit union uh, involved in here, and there's, a full half of my paycheck went there to deal with the mortgage loan and all that stuff. So it didn't show right for me. I think if someone else wasn't using smaller banks, it would probably work just fine. Um, and then, of course, I took away my other bill paying account at my other community bank in Texas. So, but you can look at your income flows versus your expense. And again, mine are incomplete because I just wasn't able to get the data from the checking accounts. And there was no way for me to upload. Uh, so if I go in here and I create a new account type, see if I do manual bank. Just going to add this. Okay, it will not let me add. Hmm. Okay, that's why. Okay, so I now have my manual bank and I can fill out the rest of this here. What type, is it a checking? What's the ownership? All that good stuff. Here I can group it with the investment accounts and move it from cash down to investments, or I can exclude it from investment and planning tools, meaning like an emergency savings account, something like that. You really don't want that in your planning. That's meant to be set aside. Now, the issue I have is, I guess, when you are entering a transaction, I'm not quite sure how you would go ahead and enter transactions manually. Uh, yeah, it doesn't confirm assets. So I don't know how you would enter a new transaction because it doesn't give you a way to do it here. Okay, so I don't really know how I would go ahead and add any transactions for that manual bank account. Okay, so I did briefly go in and uh, put a inquiry into AI to see if there's a way to add a transaction. It does say that you can add a transaction. However, when I tried to add it, it did not work for me. You can only add certain account transactions. You cannot add all account transactions. So if I wanted to add a transaction to an investment account, I couldn't. If it's linked account, I can't for obvious reasons because it's linked. But when you do a non-investment account, you should be able to add a transaction. And what it told me to do was to go into the account, and there should be a plus here somewhere that would enable me to add an account. It's not there. Um, likewise, if I go into expenses, let me see if I can perhaps, let's try transactions. If I can go in and actually separate out the accounts, okay, for cash accounts, there's supposed to be a plus, and they have an option to download transactions. They have an option to edit multiple transactions, but I'm not seeing a plus anywhere here on the screen. So, obviously that's a bit of an issue. So that would not work for me. I'm going to go ahead and remove this account. Okay, so we've gone through cash flow, budgeting, bills. Obviously, that's pretty cool. You can indicate when a bill has been paid, and it's actually already picked up that I've paid several bills. So, if you were to pay something, I guess, offline using another account, whatever, you could mark something as paid. So that's pretty neat. Uh, okay, for investing. Now, here it's just giving your portfolio balances, um, which is pretty helpful. It's showing the passage of time, what's happened with your balances with the passage of time. And of course, here's where we go from 365 up to 716 when we got the house and we got the windfall that I was looking for. It'll also go into your holdings here, as and you can see, how you stack up against various indices, your performance, again, how you're stacking up. And then what's really important to me is the allocation. So this I thought they do a really good job. I thought they do a fantastic job with the allocation. So if you look at right now, I'm cash heavy because I did a stupid. I cashed out of um, IVV too soon. When I saw was it a 2 or 3% increase in less than a month, I went ahead and cashed out to grab it, thinking that it would dip back down. It hasn't dipped back down, and in fact, it's gone up. So now I'm just positioned in cash, and I'm waiting because I do believe there's going to be a market adjustment, and then I'll buy back in again. So it's telling me I have too much cash. Um, Now, what's interesting is it'll show you where all the little places in your different funds that you hold where you're holding cash. So I thought that was super interesting. And likewise, I've got international bonds, government and corporate, and you click into here and you can see who's holding um, corporate international, and then here who's holding the government international in my funds. And then I've got international stocks, US bonds. You can see the different funds again that are holding US bonds. So pretty interesting stuff. Um, and then lastly, you can look at the sectors. So I found this really helpful. And actually, I did use this uh, in 2022 to do, I think it was 2022, do a little bit of rebalancing. This got me sort of moving some of the money towards healthcare. I still don't have a lot in healthcare, but I didn't have any, and into consumer staples. Um, you know, does it show consumer staples? It doesn't. It shows it as consumer cyclical, I think. But in any case, some of the funds that were more likely to weather a downturn, I did go ahead and rebalance for that. Or maybe it was just after 2022 when things were recovering. I thought, wow, okay, that was brutal. I'm going to go ahead and rebalance a little bit and move some out of tech because I was very, very tech heavy before. This is still a little heavy, but not as heavy as it was before. So I found this part to be very, very good. So far, it beats anything else that I've looked at. So I do like this very much. Let's see. planning. The retirement planner really, it it's okay. I mean, if you have a really simple plan, meaning you're going to work until such and such a date, and you have this much in retirement accounts, and you're going to take your Social Security at this date, and that's it. If there's no complexity, you know, to your plan, you're not going to try to retire early, you're not going to do any of that. It works fine. It works fine, but like there's no way to build out Roth conversions. There's no way to really account for, you know, the costs of retiring early, for example. So you can set your different incomes and then have a space, without income, and then have it's just, either you're retired or you're not retired. And I just didn't find that it really lived up to Bolden at all. Uh, I mean, here's the assumption. So, maybe this would be a good program if you are international because you can change the effective tax rate. So that's good. So, there's a case. I know I had quite a few people asking me on my last Bolden video if they could adjust the taxes because they lived overseas. They were international, they were non-US citizens. That's the way I want to put it. And so they were paying taxes in their country. They wanted to be able to adjust it. So you can do that here. Uh, but I mean, really, that's all the assumptions you can do. And then you can see here, I have income events. There's really not much you can choose from. Here's what you can choose for your income events. Um, that's like it. And for your spending goals, there's your other, you know, you can set goals. But I don't see anywhere in here where I can set my expenses after retirement. So it's basically going off what you're doing now, which, it's not going to be accurate for me, certainly. And it's probably using a calculation like 80% or something like that to say, well, when you retire, you're going to have 80%. But I mean, right now, it's modeling taxes that I'm hoping that I won't be paying because I'm going to be doing Roth conversions. So if we look at the detailed cash flow, I mean, yeah, it's got basic saving or retirement spending. So it's taking that number. If I had to guess, I would say that number is probably based on my cash flow, but my cash flow is very limited because I don't have my two checking accounts in here. I can't put them in here. Um, so I don't know. I mean, you can see here's when Lou collects Social Security, and then here we are when I add mine. Let's see, what's this? This is just counting. I said I'd take dividends for 7 years to be able to supply cash flow. Um, you know, so it does have some explanations. I think it's okay for very, very simple scenarios, but if you're looking for anything else, um, they say they have a retirement calculator, but it's outside of the software. I'll drop a picture of it right here. So really that's not terribly helpful. Uh, so I can't enter a Roth conversion in here. At least I haven't figured it out yet. So if somebody knows how to do that, please go ahead and put it in the comments so that I can learn how to do it. And then of course, your withdrawal planner. So that's just really going off of what happened. It's not really a planner at all. Um, Emergency fund. This is another area that frustrated me terribly because my emergency fund is in Fidelity and it's in a cash management account because I'm getting almost 4%. I cannot designate that here as an emergency fund. I have gone in here on this side with the account information. Let me pull it up. Okay. And I did, oops, that wasn't what I wanted to do. I did actually exclude it from investment and planning tools. I'll do it again. Okay. And then let's see. It's in the withdrawal planner, emergency fund. Okay, that was weird. Okay, and as you see, I can't select it because as far as I can see, it's because it's not a cash account. It'll only let me pick from cash accounts, and it's not a cash account. And seeing as how it is connected to Fidelity, can't do that. And, I'm going to be getting interest every month if I can't update it with new interest. Other than, I guess I just have to go in every month and change the balance, which is kind of a pain. But it's not even loading here. Okay, well, last time I tried to do this and it just came up with the word cash, meaning, the cash designation, and then it was just empty because there were no cash accounts. So there's nothing that I can do to add it as the emergency fund. And then debt pay down, it's probably going to bring up the credit cards, which I pay off every year anyway. Nope, nope. Okay, so it's looking for debt. Okay. Um, the investment checkup I found to be interesting. They said I'm too conservative because I think it's a 60/40. What did they say? I think it's because it's a 60/40 um, stock to bond. It's because some of my funds just hold bonds, and so it's counting that as part of the bonds. So, I take this with a grain of salt. I don't think I'm conservative at all. Um, but they do have an interesting, analysis here. I do have a high cash position right now, and that's cool. It's short term, so I'm not worried about it. It's in my taxable dividends as account. As I said, I cashed out of IVV too fast. I bought in at 604 per share beginning of June, well, June 10th or 11th, and it quickly rocketed up to 621, and that was, gosh, before the end of June, I think. And so I cashed that out because I was going to grab those gains. And then I figured there would be a dip because it's been swinging back and forth. Well, there's been no dip, it's been climbing. So I did the classic blunder of not just being patient and sitting on it and just letting it go. And so I've got a little opportunity cost going on. It's okay. I'm all right with it. Um, but I am keeping that ready so that um, if there's an adjustment in the market, I can go back in and I can buy the shares up again. So I do intend to go back into IVV. So anyway, it goes through, talks about how much better I'd be doing if I didn't have so much cash and if I changed my allocation, blah, 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 blah. As I said, it's counting bonds that I have within funds that are definitely not conservative funds. So I'm really not going to pay attention to that. It goes into the stocks that you hold. Uh, it goes into the costs. Which of my funds have fees. I do have some high fee accounts, and I understand that, and that's fine. They're giving me plenty of investment return, I think, to justify them, which is fine. But it does give me a breakdown on what I own. There's a couple of lemons in here that I'm just waiting to unload when the conditions are right. But um, and then it gives me this I found to be very interesting. So it looks at your uh, industry allocation, and it tells you, hey, if you want to be better balanced, this is what you need to have. And they're right. I am overweight in tech. And that's why I've gotten such great performance, frankly, in the last, decade, is because I've been overweight in tech. I've already made an adjustment and brought it down a bit. I still need to bring it down a bit more. I'm not going to bring it down to 10%, just because, tech drives things now. And the AI phenomena has changed the market, if you will. So I'm never going to bring it down to 10%. I think that's kind of crazy for these days and times, but I could increase utilities more. I agree with that. Utilities and energy, I do need to increase more. So it's an interesting, um, very interesting program. As I said, I've already gone through my costs. There's a couple of funds. I believe it or not, I still have a mutual fund that has a front load, and I think I'm going to be shifting out of that um, the end of this year. I'm waiting for the December payment, and then I'm going to shift out of it and go into a like investment that's comparable. That is a Fidelity investment actually, and it's low cost. The front end load mutual fund is a thing of the past as far as I'm concerned. This mutual fund has always done a good job for me, but I just don't want to pay it anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it to one of the other comparables that's also performing well, and that'll be in December. I'll probably talk about it in December. So lastly, they have a whole wealth management area where you can schedule a call with somebody and they offer, various um, products, advisory products. I will tell you that I got in here a few days ago after not being in there for like 3 months. And right away the next day, I got a phone call from somebody from Empower looking to sell advisory services. So, Empower, not cool. Not cool. I did not click this button. I don't really like getting a bunch of sales calls. So, didn't like that. So, all that to say, would I recommend Empower? You know, I think there are better tools out there that are free. This has enough issues with connectivity. You can't manually update the transactions the way that the instructions say you should be able to do. Um, there's just so many, I just kept bumping up against limitations. And with Bolden's free version, the retirement planner is so much better. Retirement planning, I should say, is so much better. You can build your scenario out to be quite complex. Um, I just can't, I don't know. I mean, I did like the uh, the allocation and the sector visibility. I like that a lot because that is very difficult to calculate for different funds, without sitting and entering all the allocations within each separate fund in a spreadsheet and then using it and bringing it together. Could I do it? Yeah, but I got a lot of funds. I mean, that's one of my projects while I'm in retirement is really just kind of consolidating a lot of things. I like to play. I like to play in investments. I like to try new things within reason. So you can see that I really need to cut down my shares of different things and just kind of make it easier on myself. So it doesn't need as much upkeep. But, I personally had issues with, setting up all my accounts. I had issues with getting them all connected. I had issues with not being able to go back and pull in. If I put a new account in there, for example, I'll give you the example. So I opened up the emergency savings account, and this was actually opened on six, no, this was opened in May, I think, when I got my windfall. Anyway, so I tried to go in and actually enter the interest, and I can't. I can't go backwards. I can't bring it in. Um, Where's transactions? There it is. So I tried to go in and actually enter the transactions. I can't do it because it's at a brokerage house and it's connected. So I can't add it. Um, okay, here, add a transaction. I think I tried to do this. Yeah, it's just all I have to pick from is the credit cards. That's it. Let me see. Yeah, no add transaction investment. Let me see. I can't. All right, let me see. Let me see if I can assign a account must be selected. See, it's really not that easy to use. Yeah, I mean, how do guess I do it here? Nothing like learning together. And it is not showing at all. Probably because I excluded it from planning. Let's see if I uncheck that. Okay, and by navigating away from that, okay, there's add transaction. Gone, gone. Okay, all right, so I can only add a transaction with credit. See that the software honestly is very glitchy. I mean, you saw just a moment ago, I was in the expenses area and it was letting me add transactions. Let me try this again. See, now it's showing up for me. Account, will you let me? Nope. See, it's only giving me the credit card. And then I flipped over to here, kept this. Okay, it's because it's already open. I can flip it, but no, I've lost the ability. So it's very glitchy software. So, okay, I've been playing enough and I've made this long enough. I It's okay. It's okay. I don't think it's fantastic. For me, it's definitely not the best software out there. I think that if you have a simple setup and if you have a simple retirement plan without a lot of complexity, I think it could work for you. So that's what I've got for you today. Sorry. I really wanted it to be better. I did. I'm going to keep going out and reviewing these different softwares. I've got a couple more that I'm looking to set up and work with just to see, what do I think about it? I love Bolden, big, huge proponent of Bolden. I'll link that video above. I'm a paid subscriber to it, and I will continue to do so for the next few years at least because it is helping me plan my Roth conversions. But, you know, this is definitely not something that I would use other than to look at allocations. So anyway, thank you very much for watching my video. If you like this type of content, please do like, share, and subscribe. And other than that, have a fantastic day. God bless.